Marcus Hale navigates through a dangerous region of space called the Black Drift. His ship receives a strange, weak distress signal. It sounds damaged, almost broken. He knows stopping is risky, pirates hunt near the drift, but something feels urgent in the voice. Marcus finds a half-destroyed escape pod, drifting through debris from a recent battle. Inside, he discovers an injured alien woman, silver blue skin, glowing veins, strange royal markings he doesn't recognize. As he pulls her aboard, unknown ships appear on sensors, hostile, tracking the pod. The viewer realizes someone wants her dead. Marcus jumps to FTL just before the enemy ships fire. The woman is unconscious. She holds a strange metal crest. Marcus thinks it's jewelry. He keeps it safe. Repair drones try to stabilize her. She speaks a single word in her language, protect. Marcus hides her identity from a nearby patrol fleet. Something tells him this is bigger than him. Welcome to my channel Starlight Sci-Fi Stories. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The warning lights on Marcus Hale's old cargo ship blinked like tired eyes. The engines hummed with uneven rhythm, shaking the metal floor as the vessel drifted through the dark region of space known as the Black Drift. It was a place most pilots avoided, filled with wrecks, pirate traps, and strange signals that seemed to whisper through the void. But Marcus had dealt with worse before. He was a former border soldier, now a simple transport pilot just trying to earn enough credits to stay alive. He leaned back in the pilot seat, tapping a blinking screen. "Come on, baby," he muttered. "Hold together just a little longer." Suddenly the ship beeped sharply. A bright red icon flashed across the navigation display. Distress signal detected. Source unknown. Status critical. Marcus frowned. In the drift, a distress signal could mean two things. Someone truly needed help, or it was bait for a trap. Pirates were smart, cruel, and patient. They often sent fake messages to lure ships close. Marcus almost ignored it. He had no cargo left, barely enough fuel, and every part of this trip was already stressful. But then he heard it. A voice. Weak, broken, fading in and out of static. "Help, please, anyone, please." It did not sound like a trap. It sounded like someone dying. Marcus's chest tightened. He had heard many cries for help in old battles, and this one hit the same nerve. Even if it was risky, he couldn't fly past a real survivor. That wasn't who he was, not then, not now. He took a deep breath. "All right," he whispered, "let's see who's out there." He turned his ship toward the signal. The closer he flew, the stranger things became. The drift was full of debris, broken fighters, shattered cruisers, floating metal chunks glowing faintly from old plasma burns, but this wasn't normal damage. It looked like a battle had torn through the area only minutes earlier. Fresh smoke trails drifted in zero gravity. Sparks jumped across broken hulls. Something terrible had happened, and not long ago. Marcus slowed the ship. Scanning. A small escape pod appeared on radar, drifting aimlessly. Half melted, cracked open on one side, spinning slowly. Marcus narrowed his eyes. One survivor in that thing. He activated the external camera. The pod was alien in design, smooth silver metal shaped like a tear, covered in faint glowing lines. Most of those lines were flickering weakly, failing. The distress beacon came from inside. His heartbeat picked up. This pod was not human. He moved in closer and locked the pod with a magnetic tether. As he dragged it into the cargo bay, his hands were already moving fast, setting medical scanners, preparing oxygen, heating the room. When the bay doors sealed, Marcus rushed down to meet the pod. Steam hissed out as he cracked the hatch. Inside, lying motionless, was a woman. Her skin was a pale silver blue, with soft, glowing veins that pulsed slowly like dying stars. Her hair floated around her shoulders in silver strands. Strange markings ran across her neck and wrists, symbols elegant and sharp like a royal script. Marcus froze for a moment. She was unlike any alien he had ever seen. And she was barely breathing. He quickly lifted her out, surprised at how light she was. She felt fragile, as though gravity itself hurt her. He carried her to the med table and began scanning her vitals. "Come on," he said, adjusting the machine. "Stay with me." Her breathing was shallow, her heartbeat weak. He placed an oxygen mask gently over her face. Her eyelids fluttered as if fighting to open, but she didn't wake. Then the ship beeped again. Unidentified ships approaching, intercept course fast. Marcus's blood ran cold. Pirates or someone hunting her. Either way, he didn't have time. He sprinted back to the cockpit and slammed his hand onto the FTL controls. "Hold together, girl," he whispered to his ship. "We're jumping now." The engines screamed as the ship tore itself into faster-than-light travel, just moments before the enemy ships could lock weapons. The stars stretched into long silver lines as the ship escaped. Marcus let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. That was too close. He looked back toward the medbay hatch. Whoever she was, people wanted her dead. Hours passed as the ship drifted through stabilized FTL. Marcus returned to the medbay, checking on the alien woman. She lay still, breathing slowly. The glow under her skin was brighter now, like her body was repairing itself. While he monitored her vitals, he noticed something small in her hand. A metal object shaped like two wings curved around a star. He gently pried it free. It felt warm. Gold and silver threads ran through it, not decorative, more like energy channels, a crest of some kind, maybe a sign of rank or family. He placed it on the table next to her. As he turned to leave, he heard a faint voice. "Protect." Marcus spun around. Her lips had moved. She was waking. She tried to sit up but winced in pain. Marcus rushed to her side. Hey, don't move, you're injured." Her eyes fluttered open. They glowed softly like polished crystals. She looked around the medbay slowly, confused at her surroundings. "You're safe," Marcus said. "I pulled you from a damaged escape pod." She stared at him with quiet intensity, as if weighing his every word. "You saved me," she whispered, her voice soft but firm. Marcus nodded. "Yeah, you were in pretty bad shape, still are." She tilted her head, studying him. "You are humans." "Last time I checked," Marcus joked lightly. She didn't understand the humor but nodded. "I am Lyrana," she said slowly. "Lyrana of..." Her voice stopped, she looked away. "Of where?" Marcus asked. She shook her head, "Cannot say, not yet." He didn't push her. She was scared, hurt, and clearly hiding something. "All right," Marcus said. "Lyrana it is." She relaxed slightly, as if grateful he didn't demand more. Then the ship alarm blared again. Multiple ships detected, same signature as EALIR encounter. Marcus cursed under his breath. "They tracked us through FTL." He looked at Lyrana. Her expression had changed, fear and something else, anger. She whispered, "They follow the mark of the queen, they hunt it." Marcus frowned. "Queen, what queens?" But Lyrana didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on the crest lying on the table. She grabbed it protectively and held it close. "Hide this," she said urgently. "Hide me." Marcus didn't understand what she meant, but the tone in her voice was clear. It was deadly serious. He nodded and rushed to the cockpit. The enemy ships were closing in. He didn't know how they found him, but if they boarded the ship now, he and Lyrana were dead. He pulled the emergency steering controls and dove into a nearby asteroid belt. Not the smartest move, but the only one he had. The ship jerked violently as rocks flew past the hull. Marcus swerved through narrow gaps, engines overheating. The chasing ships followed, firing bursts of energy meant to disable, not destroy. They wanted the pod survivor alive. Marcus gritted his teeth. Not today. He forced the ship through a tight cluster of spinning rocks and triggered a sharp thruster burn. The ship flipped sideways, scraping metal but dodging a shot that could have crippled it. The enemies closed in, preparing to board. Marcus locked all systems, grabbed his blaster and ran to the cargo hold. He wasn't fast enough. The ship's side door blew open with a deafening blast, and armored figures stormed inside, 3 of them, tall and insect-like with black shimmering plates and glowing red eyes. Lyrana stumbled out of the medbay just as the first invader raised his weapon. Marcus stepped between them and fired. The shot hit the alien's shoulder but barely slowed him. The creature hissed and swung a clawed gauntlet that sent Marcus crashing into the wall. Pain exploded through his ribs. He struggled to breathe. The second enemy aimed at Lyrana. But Lyrana moved. She moved with sharp grace, her eyes blazing with a glowing light. She grabbed the invader's wrist, twisted it hard, and kicked him into the third attacker. Her movements were like a warrior, trained, precise, deadly. Marcus stared in disbelief. Who was she? The crest around her neck suddenly lit with bright golden energy. The invaders froze, staring at the glowing symbol. One of them dropped to his knees. He spoke in a distorted, harsh voice. "My queen, your death fulfills our Lord's prophecy." Marcus's heart stopped. "Queen." Lyrana raised her hand, forming a burst of blinding energy that threw all three attackers back. The ship alarms howled as electrical sparks rained from the ceiling. The invaders recovered quickly and lunged again, but Lyrana held up her crest, its glow becoming a burning light. The attackers recoiled, hissing as if the light itself hurt them. Marcus managed to stand. "Lyrana, what's going on?" She didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed his wrist, her hand trembling. "We must leave now." They ran to the cockpit. Marcus sealed off the cargo bay, venting the remaining attackers into space. Then he slammed the FTL drive again. The stars stretched, the ship escaped. The only sound left was Marcus's heavy breathing and the soft hum of the engines. He finally turned to Lyrana. "Okay," he said, clutching his bruised side. "Tell me the truth, who are you?" Lyrana stared at the crest glowing softly in her hand. Her eyes shimmered with sadness. "I am Lyrana Valseris," she said quietly, "last heir of the Syrian crown. Queen of my peoples." Marcus blinked. A queen he had rescued, a queen. But she wasn't done. She looked at him, her voice dark and steady. "And now that I live, Marcus Hale, the hunters will come for you too." The jump through FTL space lasted longer than expected. Marcus kept checking the navigation panel, his fingers tapping nervously on the metal console. Normally, he feared engine failure. Now he feared the ships chasing them more. Behind him, Queen Lyrana sat quietly in the co-pilot's seat. Her silver-blue skin glowed faintly again, the same weak pulse Marcus had seen when he first rescued her. But her eyes were sharper now, focused, tense, and filled with something he couldn't read. When the ship finally dropped out of FTL, the stars settled around them. The space ahead shimmered with soft white dust, like starlight trapped in fog. Marcus exhaled. "Okay, we're safe for now." Lyrana didn't answer. "Listen," Marcus said carefully. "You said you're a queen, that those creatures wanted you dead." Her expression didn't change. "I need to know what's going on," Marcus said, "because now I'm part of it." Lyrana stood slowly and looked out the front window, at the distant swirling clouds of a nebula. "My people," she began softly, "rule a cluster of worlds far from human space. For centuries we have guarded a secret, a device created by the ancient ones, a weapon or a shield, depending on the heart of the one who uses it." Marcus frowned. "And your enemies want it." "They want me," she corrected, "because only my blood can activate it." She touched the crest around her neck. It pulsed like a tiny heart. "The Voidborn believe my death will unlock the device for them. They worship destruction, and they see me as the key." Marcus leaned back in his chair, stunned. "So they'll chase us forever." Lyrana turned toward him, her voice soft but firm. "They will chase you, Marcus Hale, because you saved me, and because I chose to keep you close." Marcus's eyes widened. "Chose," he repeated. She nodded once gently. "You could have left me to drift, you could have ignored my voice, yet you risked your life, in my culture that creates a bond." Marcus swallowed. He wasn't the type to back away from fear, but the weight of her words felt heavy. "What do we do now?" he asked. Lyrana stepped closer, her voice steady but sad. "We go home, my people must learn I live, and we must prepare for war." The journey to her empire took hours. Marcus expected alien patrols or automated defenses to fire as he approached, but instead, they were scanned and quickly escorted by two elegant ships shaped like silver wings. When they entered the Syrian homeworld's orbit, Marcus stared out the window in awe. The planet below was covered in glowing rivers and floating white cities that shone like pearls in the night. Lyrana stood tall beside him, her expression calm but tense. She knew coming home wouldn't be easy. As the ship docked inside a huge silver landing bay, dozens of Syrian guards lined up in perfect formation. Their armor glowed softly, their spears crackling with blue light. When Lyrana stepped onto the ramp, the guards dropped to one knee. A tall, old Assyrian man approached. His face held deep lines, and his skin glowed with age and wisdom. "My queen," he said, "we mourned you. We believed you lost." Lyrana nodded. "I lived thanks to this human." The man looked at Marcus with suspicion and distrust. Marcus held out a hand. "I'm Marcus Hale. No human has ever stepped into our capital," the man said coldly. "No outsider is welcome here." Lyrana spoke sharply, surprising Marcus. "He saved your queen. He is under my protection." The man stepped back, clearly not happy but unwilling to argue. Lyrana looked at Marcus. "You are safe here, but stay close to me." Marcus nodded. He wasn't planning to wander anywhere. Inside the Syrian palace, luminous walls glowed softly, reacting to touch and movement. The air smelled faintly of sweet metal. Guards watched Marcus with cold eyes, but no one dared challenge Lyrana's authority. She led him into a private chamber with a holographic table. Several advisors were already waiting, their long robes decorated with flowing symbols. The oldest advisor slammed his hand on the table. "This is madness, a human in our war room." Another hissed, "We cannot trust him. The Voidborn may have implanted a tracker." Lyrana raised a hand, and silence fell instantly. "He saved my life, you will respect him." Her voice carried a weight that froze the air. Then she activated a hologram of the Voidborn ships. Dark, jagged vessels filled the projection, their designs twisted like claws. "They grow stronger," Lyrana said, "and soon they will attack our core worlds." Marcus watched as patterns of the Voidborn fleet covered the map. Their numbers were overwhelming. "How do we stop them?" Marcus asked quietly. Lyrana looked at him, then at the council. "With the Heartfire." The advisors gasped. "You cannot use that power," one shouted. "It drains the life of the crown," another cried. Marcus looked between them. "What does that mean?" Lyrana spoke gently, almost sadly. "The weapon can destroy the Voidborn armada, but the one who activates it dies." Marcus stared at her, feeling cold. "And because you're the queen," he whispered, "that means you." Lyrana nodded. "And because the Voidborn know this, they want me to try. When the queen dies, the ancient device becomes corrupted. They want me gone to twist the Heartfire into a weapon of their own." Marcus felt his chest tighten. "So your life is the only thing stopping them?" "Yes." Silence filled the room. After a moment, Marcus stepped forward. "There has to be another way." Lyrana smiled softly. "You speak as though you care deeply for someone you hardly know." Marcus opened his mouth but couldn't form an answer. She looked away, giving him time. Days passed. Marcus remained inside the palace, watched closely by guards but always kept near Lyrana. She spoke with him often in private, asking about Earth, human customs, and human war tactics. She laughed gently when he told her about old movies and simple human food. She listened seriously when he spoke about losing friends in battle. The more time they spent together, the more their distance faded. One night, while walking along a glowing balcony, she said quietly, "My people see me as a symbol, but you see me as a person." Marcus looked at her. "That's all you've ever been, a person who needed help." She smiled, but there was sadness behind it. She already knew what she must do. 2 nights later, alarms blared across the capital. The Voidborn had arrived. Massive black ships tore through the sky like blades of night. Energy beams rained down from orbit. The Syrian defensive fleet struggled to rise and meet them. Marcus ran through the palace corridors, guards shouting directions. He burst into the control hall where Lyrana stood in her royal armor, white, silver and glowing like starlight. "Marcus," she said, her voice calm but firm, "you must leave." "You're going to the Heartfire, aren't you?" he said. She nodded. "I must protect my people, and yours. If the Voidborn reach human space, they will erase it." Marcus shook his head. "No, Lyrana, you can't do this. You don't have to." She stepped closer. "You saved me when I was no one to you. Now I will save millions. This is the duty of my crown." Marcus grabbed her hand gently. I don't care about your crown, I care about... He stopped, the words caught in his throat. But she heard them anyway, her eyes softened. I know. The palace shook from an explosion overhead. Lyrana leaned forward and pressed her forehead lightly against his. Goodbye, Marcus Hale, she whispered. Before he could answer, guards surrounded her and escorted her toward a sealed chamber deep below the palace. Marcus followed, but the guards blocked his way. You cannot enter, they said. He pounded the door with his fists. Lyrana, please. But the door slid shut, sealing her inside. Inside the ancient chamber, Lyrana stepped onto a glowing circle. The HFY device rose from the floor, massive rings of light spinning around a central core. She held the royal crest over her heart. When she placed it into the slot, the room filled with white-blue light. Outside, Marcus watched helplessly through a transparent barrier as the device pulsed brighter and brighter. The void-borne ships in orbit turned toward the palace, firing everything they had. It was too late. Lyrana's voice echoed through the chamber. For my people. For the human who saved me. For the galaxy. Her body ignited in a storm of light. Marcus screamed her name. The heartfire exploded outward, not in destruction, but in cleansing brilliance. A wave of pure energy curved across the sky, swallowing the void-borne ships. Every hostile vessel disintegrated into dust. The invasion ended in seconds. When the light faded, the chamber door slid open. Marcus stumbled inside. Lyrana lay on the floor at the center of the glowing circle, her body dim, her breathing slow. He knelt beside her, tears filling his eyes. She opened her eyes slightly and whispered, I was a queen, but you taught me to be more. Marcus held her hand tightly. You didn't have to do this. I did, she whispered, because I found something worth dying for. Her glowing veins dimmed, her hand slipped from his. She was gone. Marcus bowed his head as the chamber lights dimmed around him. Days later, Syrian ships carried Marcus back to human space, not as a prisoner but as an honored guest. The Syrian people built a monument of light for Lyrana, and they inscribed Marcus's name beside hers. The human the Queen trusted. The human the Queen loved. When he returned to Earth, Marcus kept her royal crest close. He often looked at the stars, wondering if she had known him only for a short time, or if fate had tied them together long before he found her drifting in the void. He whispered to the sky, I miss you, Lyrana, thank you. And somewhere in the quiet of the universe, a faint glow shimmered, like a heartbeat in the dark.